Hello everyone and welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday. Sorry we've been away, busy, all that kind of thing. But we're going to jump straight back in with the review and the chat about Whiskey of the Year. Typically we have like everything lined up behind us, and some honourable mentions go out this year to things like the Highland Park single cask that the Whiskey Shop bottled for the W Club at 67%. That was a 10 out of 10. Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, which I bought whilst jet lagged and hungover coming back from Kentucky. That was unbelievable whiskey, real foolproof Jack Daniel's, something I've wanted for years. A couple of others have hit that mark, but none like these two. So this was actually the first video we did at the start of 2019, Leadchick 19 PX finish, cask strength. For 11 months of the year, I was convinced that was the best whiskey I was going to try all year. And then April came along, and working with this shop has some really cool benefits, and with this company I got to try some Cavalan samples in the post. Loved them, picked two, and kind of forgot about them because the year picks up. We were in Kentucky selecting Maker's Mark barrels, and that was amazing, and all kinds of things. Christmas kind of occupies you. And then Christmas came along and these bottles arrived. We had two. There's a Cavalan Port cask and there's a Cavalan Virgin Oak. Now, they're both exclusive just to this company, so they're not the easiest things to get hold of. So I was debating whether or not it should contend in this award, but I've committed and I've retried it and I love it. So for 11 months of the year, the Leadchick was going to be in first position. And then I tried this. And before we go into detail, that's the best unpeated single malt whiskey I've ever tried. Amongst everything you've ever seen reviewed on the channel by me, that's the best unpeated single malt I've ever had. Whether Scottish, Irish, American, whatever have you. So details about this. Cavalan in general make fruity whiskey. This is fully matured in Virgin Oak, which I love, as you'll know. 59.4%, natural colouring, no filtration, 109 bottles. This is bottle 85. But the most important part about this is A, the flavour, and B, what I think about it. But B, it's just unusual. So Taiwan's hot. That doesn't really take any sort of explanation. And the oldest Cavalans I've ever tried have been like 7 years old at a push, maybe 8. And at that point, you're starting to think the wood's too impactful. It's gonna be really dry. Looking at the bottling dates and the distillation dates on this, Cavalan started distilling single malt in August 2006. This was distilled 8th of August 2006. It was bottled on the 7th of August 2019. It is 1 day away from being a 13-year-old single malt. And Jeremy, who runs Social Sippers Club, he said one of his best whiskies of the year was something similar to this, that was also a 13-year-old. So if we can check those bottling dates out, I'd like to clarify. But I think this is actually the oldest Cavalan ever bottled. That was a cool fact, but it's not the reason it won Whiskey of the Year. The reason it won Whiskey of the Year is because of the way it tastes. So I'm not going to beat about the bush anymore. I'm just going to dive into it, smell it, taste it, and let you guys know what we think. And it's just loaded with all that beautiful Virgin Oak caramelized wood influence. So first thing I get is just pineapple. It's like pineapple chunks, pineapple juice. It's really fresh and exotic and refreshing. Backed up with like butter. And I've been saying this to people for ages because we were bigging up a lot of our customers about this bottle because we know how fun it would be. And if you've ever cooked butter in a pan, like whether you're cooking steak or fish or anything, when it begins to burn and turn into brown butter, you just get that kind of rich, indulgent, fatty thing kind of building up around you in the air. It reminds me of that. It's like burnt butter, butter in general, pineapple chunks. It has every exotic fruit in the palate available to it, along with huge vanilla hit, massive like salted caramel, overly burnt toffee, all those kind of things. So that's what it's like on the nose. It's other things like, you know, fresh pastries like croissants, powdered sugar, real patisserie vibes to it. I've used the phrase before, but it's kind of like falling into a dessert trolley whilst drunk, just in Taiwan. But we'll smell it one more time and just see if anything else comes off it. But the taste is where this thing really explodes. Yeah, mango, mint, passion fruit, lime, kiwi, lemon, whatever you want that's a fruit, it's within this, with those big hedonistic, luxurious dessert things dripping around the edges. Even though it's cask strength, it doesn't hurt, and even though it's nearly 13 years old, it's not offensive on the nose. But the most important part is taste, because this is Whiskey of the Year, so we'll dive in and taste it. for people who don't live in the UK, the first instant taste is like a drink we have called Lilt, which is like a fizzy, exotic kind of fruit drink, like pineapple and kiwis and all that kind of thing. That's like within the first couple of seconds, it's like fresh fruit. And then within a couple of other like minuscule amounts of time, it's spice. Real oak driven, but not to the point where it's really over the top or dry. It fills your entire mouth with like this oak spice, but it's just like a blanket of everything else that's willing to come. And if you let this sit on your palate for long enough, it just doesn't get bitter. And when we were discussing with the brand ambassador who held a tasting in the store about it, flavors like this and profiles like this should climb to a point, and then they should either drop or they should plateau. And with the flavor profile in this, it feels like it should begin to get bitter as it sits on your palate, and it just doesn't. There's a point where it does, after you've swallowed it and after you're letting the flavors mingle around, you get this kind of peach skin, orange pith flavor towards the end of it. But on that huge climb up, much like the nose, it just delves through every single exotic fruit I can think of, specifically passion fruit, loads of orange, loads of kiwis and like clementines and things like that. Big, fruity, spicy, pretty bold, and as we say, one day off being 13 years old, which for that distillery is quite a feat. I really don't think they've bottled anything older than this whiskey yet. Obviously they will in the future. But one more try, and then we'll kind of round everything up for Whiskey of the Year. Yeah, Coca-Cola, angelica root, ginger, lemon, lime, all those fruits again. It's not really heavy on the caramel or the vanilla on the taste. It's more about that fruity flavor profile that Kavalan has and the oak, and how it just keeps on going and going and going and going. And then it's only like minutes into tasting it do those bitter contrasting profiles come through. So after retrying that in December, I felt really bad taking the plaudits away from the Leadshig because it is incredible whiskey. But this just clinched it to the fact that it is getting on to be so old from Kavalan, and the virgin oak just hasn't gone bad in any way, because it can sometimes. It can be too dry, it can be too, what's the word I want to use? Like, kind of acetone nail varnish thing. Virgin oak can get that sometimes. This one just doesn't. And for that, it just kind of won me over. And it's one of the more expensive bottles I've ever bought. And we bought it on the night. And I love the guitar, the case too, because it has like guitar strings in the back of it, because the guy who runs Kavalan and that owns the company loves music. So the Leadshig nearly got it, and it's still a 10 out of 10 product, but as is this. So we kind of combined Whiskey of the Year with the review, save you guys a bit of time. Thank you all for watching, we're back now. 2019 was an awesome year. We tasted some awesome stuff, we did some incredible trips, only more to come as of 2020. But within the next couple of weeks, we've got some really cool videos coming out as well. So Kavalan Virgin Oak Whiskey Shop exclusive is Whiskey of the Year. Leadshig came very close, very, very close, photo finish levels, but this guy just pipped it. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you soon, and we're happy to be back.